Sam C. Hey guys, how y'all doing? We got some short stories with kitties under a tree. Today's story, the Hammerpond Park Burglary, an H.G. Wells short story. Let's just get started. It's a moot point whether burglary is to be considered as a sport, a trade, or an art. For a trade, the technique is scarcely rigid enough, and its claims to be considered are an art are vitiated by the mercenary element that qualifies its triumphs. On the whole, it seems to be most justly ranked as sport, a sport for which no rules are at present formulated, and of which the prizes are distributed in an extremely informal manner. It was this informality of burglary that led to the regrettable extinction of two promising beginners at Hammerpond Park. Ooh, what the heck is that all about? Let's just take a look at these kitties for a second here and see which kitties are under this tree. I'm guessing we're going to be dealing with the Oatsy and the Spindalonis, and there's a couple of new ones that have been starting to show up in there, and we call them Midnight and Little George. All right, let's get back to it here. The stakes offered in this affair consisted chiefly of diamonds and other personal bric-a-brac belonging to the newly married Lady Aveling. Lady Aveling, as the reader will remember, was the only daughter of Mrs. Montague Pangs, a well-known hostess. Her marriage to Lord Aveling was extensively advertised in the papers. The quantity and quality of her wedding presents, and the fact that the honeymoon was to be spent at Hammerpond. The announcement of these valuable prizes created a considerable sensation in the small circle in which Mr. Teddy Watkins was the undisputed leader, and it was decided that, accompanied by a duly qualified assistant, he should visit the village of Hammerpond in his professional capacity. Being a man of naturally retiring and modest disposition, Mr. Watkins determined to make this visit incognito, and after due consideration of the conditions of his enterprise, he selected the role of a landscape artist and the unassuming surname of Smith. He preceded his assistant, who was decided should join him only on the last afternoon of his stay at Hammerpond. Now, the village of Hammerpond is perhaps one of the prettiest little corners of Sussex. Many thatched houses still survive. The flint-built church, with its tall spire nestled under the down, is one of the finest and least restored in the country. And the beech woods and bracken jungles through which the road runs to the great house are singularly rich in what the vulgar artists and photographers call bits. So that Mr. Watkins, on his arrival with two virgin canvases, a brand new easel, a paint box, portmanteau, an ingenious little ladder made in sections, after the pattern of the late lamented Master Charles Peace, crowbar, and wire coals, found himself welcomed with effusion and some curiosity by half a dozen other brethren of the brush. It rendered the disguise he had chosen unexpectedly plausible, but it inflicted upon him a considerable amount of aesthetic conversation for which he was very imperfectly prepared. "Have you exhibited very much?" said young Pearson, "in the bar parlor of the Coach and Horses?" where Mr. Watkins was skillfully accumulating local information on the night of his arrival. Very little, said Mr. Watkins. Just a snack here and there. Academy? In course and the Crystal Palace. Did they hang you well? Said Porson. Don't rot, said Mr. Watkins. I don't like it. I mean, did they put you in a good place? Why, Dyer mean? said Mr. Watkins, suspiciously. One you'd think you were trying to make out I'd been put away. Porson had been brought up by aunts and was a gentlemanly young man, even for an artist. He did not know what being put away meant, but he thought it best to explain that he intended nothing of the sort. As the question of hanging seemed a sore point with Mr. Watkins, he tried to divert the conversation a little. Do you do figure work at all? No, never had a head for figures, said Mr. Watkins. My Mrs. Smith, does all of that. She paints too, said Porson. That's rather jolly. Very, said Mr. Watkins, though he really did not think so, and feeling the conversation was drifting a little beyond his grasp, added, I came down here to paint Hammerpond House by moonlight. Really, said Porson. That's rather a novel idea. Yes, said Mr. Watkins. I thought it rather a good notion when it occurred to me. I expect to begin tomorrow night. What? You don't mean to paint in the open by night? I do, though. But how will you see your canvas? Have a blooming copse? began Mr. Watkins, rising too quickly to the question, and then realizing this, bawled to Mrs. Durgan for another glass of cheer. I'm going to have a thing called a dark lantern, he said to Porson. But it's about new moon now, objected Porson. There won't be any moon. There'll be the house, said Watkins. At any rate, I'm going. You see, to paint the house first and the moon afterwards. Oh, said Porson, too staggered to continue the conversation. They do say, said old Durgan, the landlord, who had maintained a respectful silence during the technical conversation, as there's no less than 3 policemen from Isleworth on duty every night in that house. Count of this Lady Aveling in her jewelry. One of 'em won 4 and 6 last night, off second footman, tossin'. Towards sunset next day, Mr. Watkins, virgin canvas, easel, and a very considerable case of other appliances in hand, strolled up the pleasant pathway through the beech woods to Hammerpond Park. Okay, guys. Let's put a pause on it right there. We're starting to get into this thing, and we'll get more involved. I think it's a longer one, so we'll probably have 3 or 4 of these. All right, let's just wrap it up. Sam C. Okay, now we wait for big old Rosie to get in there. Cheerio, guys. Yeah, you go, Big Rosie. You go, Big Rosie. Do your thing now.